Everyone, it's Lisa from Been There, Got Out, and I am very excited about tonight's guest. It's Gloria Williams, and we met in a networking event. There she is. Let me get her in here. And I was the person that ever sang to me in this kind of group, and it was really impressive. And so I don't know if you could hear me. Could you hear me, Gloria, when I was just saying that?
I heard a little bit. I just heard you say, well, we met in a networking event. That's like
Yeah, and I said, you sang to me in the group. Like, you sang, and I was like, oh my gosh, this person is really interesting. I got to talk more to her. So we had a conversation, and I thought you would be perfect to have on here because you have a very interesting thing that you do, and you also help among other people, kids develop confidence. So that's a big issue with our our clients and our community in general is trying to rebuild our confidence and deal with major issues and a high conflict personality. So I thought you'd be excellent to come on. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And tell us a tiny bit about your background. And then I have so many questions for you. I'll see if we can squeeze them all in today.
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me today. So I'm Gloria Williams. I'm a presence advocate, and what that is that I cultivate confidence in people. I use the mediums that I use is music and medium, and so I have a children's book and companion song that helps cultivate confidence in children entitled "Don't Forget to Be." And basically, I go around and I encourage them that they should have confidence in exactly who they are, no matter how different they look, talk, or a sound, that they should have confidence in who they were created to be.
Excellent. Okay, so I was thinking about our initial conversation and how you said that every day the world is telling us as a whole that we're not good enough. So can you talk about how you fight back against that through what you do? Kind of big question.
Yeah, so I believe that a lot of times the world is throwing a message to us that our best or success is becoming something. Like it's something that's out of reach, something that we're always working towards, and we're never at a state of accomplishment, or like our confidence or our best self is always in the future, something we're reaching to. And so something that I do to combat that is I use songwriting and my book to help and speeches to help cultivate confidence in people and children. And so with the songwriting, what I do is a lot of times as a creative, you often don't know if someone understands you or gets your message or gets what you have inside of you. And so songwriting is a great way because it helps you to like really be uncomfortable. We do a lot of fun little games and stuff that make different sounds and stuff. And so it gets them into an uncomfortable place. And so how to combat that message that is always telling us that we are not there yet, or we don't have what it is to be confident in, is to face that uncomfortable all the time. And it's like and so a lot of my life, people who know me from a child and know how socially anxious I am and how I can do speeches and do things like that now, they often ask, like, how are you doing it? And it's like, I'm not cured from it. It is that I continue to do uncomfortable things, and I just found a why to force myself to go out there and to get confidence in myself, because my why is so much bigger than the fear it is to actually do it.
Yeah, and what you just said about putting kids in particular in uncomfortable situations and making them deal with it, I love it, because I think so often for many of us who are going to be watching, we're parents and we want to shield our kids. Our instinct is like, we don't want them to be uncomfortable, like what's going to happen. You're saying that it actually is helpful, which makes sense, to put them in uncomfortable situations so that they can learn to deal with it and then come out being like, I did it. Like I met this challenge.
Yes. It's so important. And so, like, of course you can find things that your children are naturally attracted to or grasp towards, and that might be a way to like connect them to a community. Because oftentimes it's like getting that community environment, it kind of forces you to connect and make those relationships. And so that's why I became presence advocate, because it's like majority of my life I've been through so many different situations where I had opportunities to connect and I didn't. And I don't want children to do the same the same mistakes that I did, like, because I believe intentional growth comes through connections and building relationships, and you cannot connect if you are not present. And so that's why I spend so much of my time and my work cultivating confidence in children, because that is where it starts. If you can get them to be courageous at their age, at their time, and get that mindset and that concept, and that will continue on with them for the rest of their life.
Yeah, totally agree. Now, one of the things that you talked about, which kind of made me think of Maya Angelou. Did you ever read the book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings? Okay. So you said that you were a functional mute when you were little. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. And so I was a functional mute all up into my later 20s. And honestly, like I was just on the interview the other day, I'll tell them that I still struggle with social anxiety to the point that like sometimes it takes so much energy for me to make a phone call for me. Like, and a lot of people don't know that because they see me perform, they see me do speeches, they see me sing. They're like, there's no way that you struggle. But yes, I do every time. And so, but like growing up, my family called me a functional mute is because I was like very, very shy and so insecure that I did not really speak. Like, but I would sing because I come from a musical family. And so they would see me sing. And so there was like, they know I had a voice inside of me, but I really didn't have conversations. And so, and because of that, I didn't really connect to, you know, like when I went to school and college and things, of making those positive connections. And so that's why I do what I do now, because I'm like, we need it. We need community. We need each other. We need to connect, and we need to feel confident enough to be ourselves and to be present. And I say, don't just show up, glow up, like shine that light inside of you, because the world needs to see your light. There is something so special in you that the world is waiting for. I often tell children that what makes you different is what makes you needed. And a lot of times we think that what makes us different, what makes us a misfit, maybe we shouldn't be confident enough to share because nothing else looks like us, no one else sounds like us. But I'm like, that's the number one thing. That's why you should shine your light.
So speaking of that, you're wearing yellow.
Yes. Yes. And so I to translate presence to children, I say it's your light, and that you should shine your light wherever you go. So I always wear yellow to remind them that you have a light inside of you, and continue to shine it. Don't dim your light for anyone. Like, don't silence yourself, that you deserve to live a life unmuted. And what unmuted means is that you have, your voice deserves to be heard, and your light deserves to be illuminated. And so I wear that yellow as a symbol that you deserve to be illuminated. And this world will be such a greater place once you have the confidence to shine your light. So don't just show up, glow up.
I love it. All right, talk about now how singing is different than talking.
So singing for me, the delivery of emotion, I believe in singing, and it's also an outlet as well. And then particularly like songwriting, like if you're doing your own lyrics, it's therapeutic in a sense that it's like writing poetry or journals and then turning it into is something beautiful. You can, hear the melody in it, and it's like your accomplishment in that, but it's like an extension of your heart being shared. And so like for me, it's been when I didn't really talk much, I always wrote songs, and singing was, or I'll be humming, and I didn't even know I hummed so much all my life. I remember my coworker one time was in cubicles, and one day she was like, "Oh, you must have had a medley in your heart today." And I was like, huh? I didn't know people could hear me. Like, I thought it was so low under that no one can hear me. So people would hear me like singing and I'll say little things like songbird and stuff like that. But it's therapeutic, and I noticed that, like, just like that coworker, she was like, I never, you know, brung it to your attention because it helped her too. Like, it was joyful, like whatever I was. And that's how music is. And when you write the songs, not only is it therapeutic for yourself, but to see the impact of how it is on other people. Like, I released songs in 2013. And that project was entitled Unmute Me. And every week when I see Apple Music tell me the number of people that play, like to this day, it just warms my heart. And then to hear the people who come back to me and say, this message still relates to me. This song brought me so much joy. Like, especially the children with the particular song with the book, for a little girl to run up to me and say, your song brought me so much joy. It's like the impact, and that brings your why into play of like, when I'm so nervous to even sing this or release this, when someone shows confidence in it. So that's something that like parents can do, like when they see their children creating, to like encourage them and like to take that time to really see what they created and let them know how much it impacts your life, because that builds their confidence to do things that they are probably uncomfortable with doing.
Yeah, and I love how you mentioned how it's like there's the writing process, and I know as a writer myself, and I happen to do a little shameless plug, so we actually have a book. Our book is coming out in March. It was supposed to be February, but it's something different from writing privately. Like, I've kept journals for most of my life, but to take it to that next level where you put it out there in the world, that's a huge triumph. And again, just like you, where people say, I was impacted by what you said, you reach a whole new level of an audience, you know, so it's great for yourself, but you never know the impact you have on others until you really get it out there and see.
Yes. And I always tell the children, I said, treasure is on the other side of exposure. So sometimes you don't know what's inside of you until you find the confidence to be. And I know that's how my life has been. Like, I didn't know that I was a songwriter or that I was gifted in that until I shared with people. And it was like, oh my God, this is a gift. Like, how did you write that? How do you come up with things like this? But I didn't know. I was doing it all my life and, you know, keeping it to myself. And as soon as I shared it, I saw it was a treasure because other people acknowledged it. And so that's something that we can do with our children when they show us. When they have the confidence to be vulnerable, we have to take those moments very preciously and know how to steward them in the right way, because when they become that vulnerable to share what's inside of them or how they feel, we have to know how to like encourage them, because you want to continue to be in a safe space that they will continue to share and continue to grow and be able to come to you in those moments.
Okay, so you said something, and I'm like, I have 3 things I want to say, and I probably won't remember any of them, but one of them was about how treasure is on the other side of exposure. And that makes me think about when I used to teach English, high school English and writing, and how a lot of people, not just kids, but they're like, I need to already have it planned out what I'm going to say. And I can't do it until I figure it out, because that's how it works. But it's not. It's that the process, you never really know what's going to come out. Like, I did a lot with my students, having them do free writing, where it was like, let's just start with something and see where it goes. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't need to know the answer already. That's, again, that joyful part of the creative process is creating, like not knowing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's very hard. Like, even me, you know, like, because you want to plan, you want to like be in control, like to not be in control of like what comes out of you or what people are exposed to. I think that might be even a bigger, like, because it's such a great level of vulnerability with exposing things that you didn't even plan. Like, you don't really know like how it's gonna come out, how it's gonna be received. And so yeah, that is definitely a great obstacle, a great challenge to overcome and continue to conquer, because like my pastor says, like, there's victory in vulnerability, and it definitely is.
I love that.
And that's Pastor Cedric Rouse, and he taught us that there is victory in vulnerability, and I'm so and it truly is, but you would never see it until you find that courage to just be like. And so I'm so grateful to, I say, been gifted this treasure to share this message, because it's the story of my life. But every time I do it, it is, I literally have to conquer every time. And a lot of people don't know that. And I remember I had an interview with someone. It was like, they need to see these background scenes. Maybe to share them how nervous you are and how much anxiety you face every time you do this thing. So people don't know, they see the end product, where they don't see like all the steps going up and how much confidence it took. And so I'm so grateful that there are people who come and share with me how much it impacted them. So that helps me to cultivate my why, to continue to keep going, because it's important. And that's why everyone should have that confidence, is to be vulnerable, because I believe you will be connected. God will connect you with the right people who will, who need to see your light. And you will, and that will help to cultivate and help illuminate it even greater, and give you that why that you need in order to continue to do those uncomfortable things and to grow.
Yeah, I love that you talk about how difficult it is for you yourself to conquer the confidence issues every single time you speak. Like, I can imagine right now you're doing a great job, but it's good. It's good to still tell people that. Like with our people too, I always remind them, I feel it. I'm still struggling as well. Like it's a different situation, but like being stuck in these high conflict relationships, or being stuck in the court system, we're all still struggling, but we have to lead other people and make it, show you can get to the other side. It does get better, but it's still a challenge every single day. That's important. That's really important. And I think it shows tremendous empathy to be able to do that, which does show vulnerability at the same time. And I love that quote, victory and vulnerability. I'm going to use that like tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. Watch this interview. So another thing you talked about was safe spaces. And I had mentioned to you that I was going to ask about that, especially considering what again, we're talking in my head, I'm thinking about everybody, but especially thinking about kids stuck in these difficult situations with parents that are having a lot of conflict. So why are safe spaces so important, especially to children?
Yeah, safe spaces are so important, especially to children, because there are so many pressures in the world. And I think sometimes as adults, we can, in a way of protecting children, we don't be authentic with them. And sometimes we could have extra pressures. We could be like, have more pressures on the child, because they think that if they aren't perfect, they won't be loved, or they won't be respected. And so then they end up going to different sources who don't love them like we love them, who aren't really there that can help them, because they don't feel like it is a safe space to talk to this. So it is definitely a challenge. I don't have children of my own, but I have, taught before, youth pastor before, so I've had conversations with parents and trying to encourage them to be safe, to like create safe spaces. And I understand that the biggest thing as a parent or any guardian, you want to protect your child. And so, but to have those moments and be strategic in how can I protect them, but I also, at the whole scheme of things, I want them to know that if it's something really going on, that they can come here, that it's a no judgment. And maybe you specifically have to say that to them. And I know what I tell children every time I talk to them, I say, look, I have no idea what it is, excuse me, to go through what you're going through today, like what it feels like to be in your shoes. I've been your age before, but I've never had your experience. And all I can do is I can show you that I love you, I care for you. And if there is something that I can help you with, I'm here for you. But I need you to communicate to me, and so that I can know what is best, that how I can help you. And so I always say that. And every time like even I met strangers, being a guest on someone's like Bible study or their class, and people have come to me, children have come to me, teenagers, it's sometimes hard for teenagers to even
I
come.
know, I thought so.
reach out to me, or they'll find me on Instagram and DM me. Like, and so I believe when you come in that authentic place of saying, I don't know it all. Like, I don't know, because we have no idea to live as a child in this world, like right now. And I can't imagine the level of pressures they're up against, because they're exposed to so much more things than we were exposed to growing up. And so to like try to humble ourselves in a place, that's one of the greatest things. Make sure you stay in a humble state so that you can, be receptive to what they bring, and what you and whatever you say to keep it safe, whatever you declare to them, make sure you hold up your promise to whatever, like, confidential. Of course, you have to do, if this is not your child, mandatory reporting if it's something that is harmful to them. But if you have said that this, like you said, I don't know, parents are like, don't manipulate. Don't use a safe space as manipulation. Don't say, hey, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to anger. I'm not going to be mad at you. And then you get mad, then you, like, if they share their heart and be completely vulnerable, you have to be ready and prepare yourself, because that's the worst thing to do, is to make the illusion that you're creating a safe place and then use it as manipulation, because that's going to be with them for the rest of their life. And it's going to be hard for them to find safe spaces anywhere when we're the people who are saying that we love them. And if we're manipulating them, how are they going to be comfortable to be safe with anyone else? So be very strategic and be mindful when you are creating these safe spaces of your actions, your words. Prepare yourself for this. I've seen different like illustrations of safety. Sometimes it's like the one when you aren't physically looking at each other, like it was like you could provide a safe space by being in the same room, and if your facial expressions might be, maybe that might be a way you can start. Like, let's have a safe space where we're faced to each other back, like maybe that might be a safe space. But like, know yourself and try to really hold true to whatever commitments that you make within that space, because you never want to use a safe space as manipulation.
Yeah, I mean, what you're really saying is be trustworthy.
Yes.
Because trust is so important. And like you said, when somebody acts like they're there for a child, but really manipulates and throws it back against them, they do remember it. I remember things from when I was little. It's like, no matter how nice someone is after, like, you destroyed my trust and you didn't earn it back, and not going to forget that. So that's really hard. And you said that, in the past, that kids are great sensors. Like, they know who's there for them. And I was going to say, at one point you talked about what you think fear is, really. Can you get into that a little bit?
I think fear is a big part of fear is insecurity. I know, like, when I've myself and working with other people sometimes, and that's why because I've struggled with it, I think I am very empathetic to that. And so that comes out in all different ways. It's like working with elder level, like maybe they, I advocate for a lot of people, a lot of different groups, a lot of different people who their voices are usually silenced, because I know what it feels like. And a big part of fear is that you might just be insecure of doing it. And so I'm an advocate for training, for policies. I don't care how tedious the training is. I am an advocate for desktop procedures, like a step-by-step, because I know how I am. And I ask that in any volunteer thing I serve, I will bring it up to their attention. I remember like a few boards had me come in and sit in their meeting there because I said those things. Like, when I volunteer, I'm like, it would be so much better if you sent out a day before the map of how this looks, if the details of what positions, like just things basic, like the more information, because you can get more people to volunteer if they know exactly what they are going to do. It's a lot of people with great hearts that will help you, but if they don't feel like they're insecure in this situation and they won't be successful, they won't come. So it's like
communication. Like what you said before.
Yes, communicate to us. And so I'm an advocate for step by step. You cannot over instruct me. Like, like, tell me. That's how I am, because I want to feel confident in what I'm doing, and the more, you know, and there's so many things in life that, you know, you just can't plan for, the emergencies are. But when they are things that you can plan for, that you can't, like, that you can eliminate some insecurities and work on them, because it's always going to be insecurity. We'll always be battling with insecurities, but there are some insecurities in us that we can work on. Like me specifically, I know I'll be insecure doing things like presenting and doing anything of my gifts. But some of that is natural. Like some of that is, okay, I joined a networking group. Like my goals of this year is like to do an interview once a month, go to a networking event, a physical one and a virtual once a month, because certain elements of my insecurity is the comfortable, you know. There are things that I can work on. You can work on being a better presenter. You can work on being a better networker, being a better conversationalist. But, you know, like, and so work on the things that you can, like identify those things, so that you won't have fear in unnecessary things. You're gonna have fear, but you know, like, but in order to, like, and so work on those things that you can identify. And it's going to take discipline. That's going to take you, you know, the courage to do the uncomfortable things and to be real with yourself. To say like, hey, why is this making my heart fall out every time I do this? It's not only because maybe the information is hard for me to say, or, you know, the act is hard, but it's just, hey, I just don't really, this is not my norm. My norm is to be a hermit. So like every time I present, every time I sing, I'm always going to do it. So the only way, I wouldn't say get over, is that I have to continue to do it over and over and over and over again, until the point that I think the thing that grows your why but also grows your confidence is not that the fear goes away. It's that you continue to see that victory. Like my pastor said, like you see the victorious moments on the other side of vulnerability, and those pieces just keep adding up, and people see you and be like, there's no way you're shy. There's when they see you, but it's like, oh yes I am, but I'm just continuing to knock down and chisel at this fear and the ways that I can.
These are such important messages to teach any child, not just kids in difficult situations, but that fear is something that's always going to be there. Because I think as humans, we think, well, once this is finished, then things, like you said in the beginning, things are going to be better. I'll be confident in the future. They don't see it. This is a process, like a lifelong process to keep working on, building confidence, taking on challenges, and having those triumphs. And that's something I know a lot of people in this community can relate to. So why don't you talk a little more again about the effects of not getting yourself out there? So someone who says, I'm too scared, I'm not comfortable, I'm just not going to do it. Like kids in particular who refuse to participate. What suggestions do you have for parents? Because they're the ones who have to get them into these workshops and to motivational people.
Yes.
Like what can we do?
Like parents, it is your duty to like steer your children. So I know, you know, you're not going to be the best friend when you are doing things to help them grow. But one of the worst things that you can do is to allow them to continue to isolate themselves. I know people who struggle with insecurity, anxiety, or depression, like I have, to isolate ourselves, it just gets worse. And it's one thing about community is going to cause us to do things that are uncomfortable, but it's so much beauty, it's so much joy. It's so many things that we just never will experience if we do not push ourselves. And so as a child, the parent has to be that person holding their hand to like help navigate the child to grow. You're helping them to grow, and they're never going to grow if they stay comfortable. And if they stay isolated, they're not going to be able to grow to the capacity they need to grow, and they need to connect. The world is built on connection. So there is going to be one day that you can't be there for your child physically, or maybe they're, you know, in college or something. You have to be able to, you know, learn how to cultivate a relationship and how to communicate and how to, you know, build community and be a part of community, not only in, you know, in their little chapters, but in their world. And so it's very, I know it's probably hard. I know it's hard being a parent and doing those things, and you might not be, you know, the nice guy, or making them join that Girl Scout or whatever organization. But that's the way that you can take the time to really study your children and see what interests them, because that can be a way that you can do it. Like find a community of something of their interest that they can, you know, that you can help them grow into. So if you saw that your child is an artist, find an art community, or find, you know, computers are gaming. There are gaming societies or gaming groups. So just different ways that you can like build on their interests, but also put them in spaces and help them develop those skills that can help them grow.
I agree. You're going to be such an amazing parent, Gloria, because you already know a lot of things. Like as a teacher, I felt like me as a teacher, like I brought things to the table. And one of the things you said is made me think of how I also push my kids who are now adults, but to get themselves out there. I kept saying, if you don't put yourself out in the world, you don't know what magic can happen. So you have to do it. You have to try it. And they both have become they've both become pretty confident people, but it was a struggle with them sometimes because of other things that happened, or my daughter in particular is an introvert and she has to keep pushing herself. But it's like, once they try things and they do have those triumphs, and I think in my own life, same thing, you can say, look at what you did before. You can do this again. You're really good at this. Like, keep going, keep trying. And that does build confidence.
And like community, also, it's like, even if they, you know, like me, like I still struggle with insecurity, well, like, you know, being outspoken and stuff, but just being in an environment, you get the other benefits of community. There is so much benefit in serving. You know, they're attached to like confidence and positivity and joy in serving, and just that. So even when I didn't open my mouth, because I've always served, like my mom will have me in church, I'll be in different communities, she'll put me in dance classes, all these different things that I knew I got the benefits of community, and it always helped me to keep going back to community. And so I might not have talked much in one, but it helped me to keep being in it. Like I got to feel like needed, you know, like you'll feel needed if you actually engage in community, if you actually serve and help others, you will see needed. And so that's other ways you can help engage your children, is create volunteer opportunities where they can learn how to serve and to see their impact on the world that way. And so it took me a while. Like I used to go to, like I was a business major, and I would go to networking groups and so many networking things, and I was like, look, at least I got here. You know, like you have to look at the positive. Like at least I drove myself to come. You know, maybe next time I'll speak. It's like, and then the next time you speak, like I spoke to one person. I got 3 business cards this time. You know, so just at least getting there. I know that analogy of people say with the gym, like I went to the gym the first day, I didn't. It's like, just get there, take the step, like and be like,
progress, little bits.
I'll do a little better next time, but yeah, like it's not an overnight thing. This is, you know, over 30 years of me, like being, like my parents forcing me into community initiatives, forcing me, you know, to take dance classes and be in different community groups and choirs, and, you know, and having me be in like business organizations over the summer times, summer programming, vacation Bible schools. It's like my parents were doing their things and they made me. I had no choice at that age. But what my parents said. And I think that's a difference with this, I believe, this generation and our generation. A lot of children have more choice, but I think that is going to be an area that parents are going to have to use their authority on if they really want their children to grow. Because, you know, anybody just want to do whatever you want, it probably won't be a lot. Like, I'll be like, hey, I just want to sit, I want to chill, I want to, you know, watch video games or play video games, and never communicate, or never, like, if you gave them that choice. And so if you want them to grow beyond that and set them up for a more successful future, there are like contributors to their community, you're going to have to take that initiative to use your authority to help them to grow.
Oh, totally agree. So, Gloria, how can people find you or find out more about what you do with songwriting? I mean, this sounds so excellent for everybody, not just kids.
Yes, so you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at I am Gloria Williams, and everything is connected on my website is IamGloriaWilliams.com, and you can find the links to my music, books, and everything up there.
Great. Okay, so I'm going to put it in my little description, and I'm going to post the recording of this. And I'm not sure if there's anything else you want to say, but this has been so inspiring as I knew it would be.
Thank you so much. I just want to encourage anyone who's listening, like, it's never too late. It's never too late to progress into something greater, and to progress into you finding that confidence to be yourself. Because the thing, it is nothing that you have to become. It's that the thing that you have to change is your perspective, to see that you are already it, that you already have the light, and that you already and so it's just, you're going to have to cultivate that confidence to shine the light that you hold, and to be that for your child, and to help so that you can help, guide them to be confident to shine their light. And so it's always conquer the world, but don't forget to be.
Thank you so much, Gloria. I'm glad you sang. I was wondering if you're going to sing it all in this interview. I was waiting for it. I was going to ask if you didn't, so thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you for having me this evening.
Oh, my pleasure. You know it.
All right. Have a great evening.
All right. You too. We'll be in touch. Okay. Bye.